Yeah, we'll get started here in a second. Alrighty, well,
Everyone.
how's it going, I think there's a couple more here, and I'm trying to manage everything here and people in.
I'll take care of
Okay,
these people here.
perfect. Cool. Well, welcome to today's Pebble office hours, where we spend some time answering some questions. And so it looks like we do have some questions. Yeah, we don't have anything specific to talk about. If you're ever wondering what's going on with us, with Pebble, you can head over to our YouTube channel. You could go to like youtube.com/Pebble REI for real estate investing. And you can see what we've been working on. And we're gonna jump right into stuff. So I believe these are current questions that we've got.
Yes, these are the questions. So we'll start off by going through these, and then if you have some questions at the end, we can pass into those and start that discussion there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're just gonna jump right into it. Matt asks here, how to remail with an increased offer? Yes. That you can do. So it's a matter of using, oh, I'm not on a screen where I can actually open a different window here. Let me see what I can do. I'm going to stop screen share here. And then I'm going to open another screen share here in a second. But I'm also going to try to pull up something on our knowledge base. So here's a scenario. You want to remail, I think the question was like how to remail with an increased offer. Okay, so I guess Uh, there's two ways you can go about this. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so the easiest way to remail a list, you can head into your account here. What I like to do is go into properties here and filter. So you have all these filters. You can filter down to a previous campaign. Okay. You can see I've only got 53 here. I can also exclude anybody from a deal board. So anybody who was a potential deal, I will exclude them. All right. And you can see I've still have that 53 because none of them are on my deal board. I will go ahead and select all of these properties. And then from there, I will create a campaign. All right. And then I will simply, if I want to make an offer, or if if I want to make an offer here, I can add an offer here. But I'm not sure if this is
Just
exactly.
Jesse, I want to double click on that adjusting offer price. So if you have done if that prior campaign was a blind offer where you actually had an offer price on there, this new campaign would show you those prices. When you click that adjust pricing, you have the option of changing that pricing. So let's say my last campaign, I offered 100, let's just say $100 an acre. If I now want to offer $120 per acre, I can go in there and increase that by a percentage. So that will update all of the campaign's records, increasing the offer amount, in this case by 10%. And then I can remail that campaign. So this is really useful if you want to retarget those sellers with an increased offer amount. And maybe you do this every 3 months. You say like, okay, I'm gonna offer my base price, then I'm gonna bump it by 10%, then I'm gonna bump it again by 10%. That can really do a lot to showing your sellers that you are pretty interested here.
Yep. Yep.
Will that show in the where it says offer? Will it show in those drop downs that you sent another when you set the price?
So so in this case, the previous campaign that Jesse would have sent here didn't include an offer price because it was just like a neutral letter. But if you had a campaign that did include that offer price, then when you create that campaign using what Jesse showed here, that price will be listed there on each property.
Yep.
So you'll have the historical data when you know that the first offer was 1,000 and the second offer was
Yes.
1,500. Okay,
Yes, at any point you pull
right,
in,
yeah.
you go into that property and you will see each one of those campaigns that property is associated with and the price if it's been set.
Thank you.
Awesome. I'm also going to drop here in the chat. I've got a video. If you want to make an increased offer through our auto follow-ups, you can do that. You just need to utilize custom fields and have those prices pre-planned. It's easy to do that, like a column where it's 10% increase, a 15% increase, 20% increase. Just make sure you upload that. So when you create your auto follow-up plans, you know you've got those increased offers already attached to the property. You're going to set the placeholders on the piece of mail to show that increased offer amount. So I just dropped it in the chat there. I don't think that was the question, but that is also another way to mail out with an increased offer.
And Ed, you had your hand raised. Do you have a question about that as well?
Yes, Kevin, when you show on the screen of the different choices for resending it, one of them was a percentage field. What is it a percentage of that go when you put a quantity in that percentage
Yes.
field?
Jesse, do you have a campaign here that has offer prices on it?
Yeah, let me take a look.
And then the second question before you get done with me is Jesse blew by the first 3 seconds about how to get started doing it, and I missed it.
We're
Yeah,
gonna find a these are all of our test data, but one of these has got to have
$1
an
amount.
offer price.
None of them have a offer amount here, looks like. Ugh. Oh, here. Okay.
Here we go. Okay, so that is your offer amount, and you create those offer amounts.
Previously sent. Yeah.
Yep. And so we can select all, click adjust offer, adjust price there, and now you can either just change them all to a fixed amount, or you can increase them by 15%.
So you'll see
now-
the amounts change here. It's 467.9 right now. If I hit 15% increase, you can see that it automatically adjusted there.
Okay, so when you put 15 in that percentage field, you're multiplying the previous price times 1.15.
Correct.
Exactly. Yep.
Got it. And then when you first started showing us how to do it,
Yeah.
what did you go to? Properties?
I went to properties. I used the filters here. I filtered out a previous campaign because the property shows me my entire database of all my properties here. So I'm going to go back to a previous campaign. And then I can also exclude things from a deal board because I don't want to mail to somebody who's already on my deal board, which is 7 of them. So I'm going to exclude those 7. And then I'm going to check them all, select all 111. And then I create a campaign here.
So if you sent a campaign out to 384 people, 5 people responded, you made a deal with them, you don't want to send to them again, so you would have them in another deal field or step, and
Exactly.
then that's excluding the 5 people in this example from
Correct.
sending them out again.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Cool. Very cool.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to jump to the next question here. How to set up to track ROAS from direct mail sent by Rocket Print. How to set up track follow-up automations. How to make best use of map features in deal cards. Okay, so the first question here is, how do I set up and track your ROAS, your return on ad spend from direct mailing sent by Rocket Print? Okay, so if you are using an external mail house, you still want to create the campaign in here. In fact, I would bring the properties into here first because we actually generate this mail code. You want to tell Rocket Print to use this code. So when they call in, you've got this code, right? So bring it into here. Then you're going to select all your properties in this campaign and export them out. So you're bringing them in and then re-exporting out. The reason why is we want to include this. And then also, you want to have your properties in here. So when people get back to you, you have it to pull up already. Now, when people are getting back to you, and you want to attribute that to the return on ad spend, a couple things you need to do. On the campaign level here, any sort of third-party marketing service you're going to use, you can edit that campaign and record the amount spent. Okay, so you want to add the amount spent. From there, when you get a lead that turns into a deal, okay, on that deal card, if they gave you that mail code, it's going to track for the return on ad spend automatically because it's going to attribute that deal to the specific campaign based on that code. If you didn't get that code, you don't know what they belong to, you're going to manually look up that campaign and determine which campaign it belonged to, and you will attribute this deal opportunity to that campaign. And then from there, we sort of run the math to calculate your return on ad spend. Okay. Basically, you're looking at how many leads came out of, how much did it cost for that lead, essentially. Okay.
What was the ad spent again?
What is it or where is it?
Where was it
Yeah.
again?
If you go to the campaign, I'll go back. And you go to the campaign itself on the left bar here, where if
Thank
you
you.
hit edit, you can see here it says, yeah, amount spent. Yeah, so if you're doing cold
Beautiful.
calling or whatever, you'll want to be able to, you want to track that. Okay. Cool. How to set up track follow-up automations. Yeah, so this is you can come to any to set up a auto follow-up, you come to your auto follow-up plan here. You can create a plan. A plan can be as many steps as you'd like. And the contact methods we have are email, text, mailing, so direct mail, and even a phone call reminder. You would set it up here, okay? For example, day 1, I want to send them an email. Day 2, I want to send them a text. Day 3 or day 4, I want to get a call reminder to call them. I get notified for that, okay? I don't know how many test examples I have now, but oh well, just another one. A couple things here to note. If you're going to send out an email or text, you do have to have a connected email address or a phone number. And then the other thing is to make sure you know that you have these placeholders. These are going to be dynamic information. So it could be their name, like, hey, name, but it's going to replace the name with like Kevin or something like that. Okay. So that's how you create it. To enroll somebody, there's a few ways you can do it. You can do it from the enroll contact here. Okay. I can enroll anybody that is a contact in here to a follow-up. A lot of times we will probably be hanging out on a deal board, and I will come to that deal card and hit quick enroll. And then I'll just quick enroll them into it. Now, you might be wondering, well, Jesse, why not, like, I want to drag it and let the automation run. Well, this actually gives you a lot more flexibility. You may not want to run the same automation for everybody under the specific column. There are people that are they're very specific about what they want. So we're not going to auto send that for you. And then there's also the danger that, we're spending money with your mailing. So the next best thing is here to just quick enroll. Okay. So that's another way you can enroll them. And then anywhere you see a contact, even I believe on here, can we quick enroll them or can we enroll them from here? Kevin, do you know? I guess not. So typically from the deal board or the
Jesse, you can scroll down underneath where it says deals.
oh yes,
Yeah, follow-up plans
so you can
there.
enroll them directly from the inbox as well. So you have a few places you can do so. And to see what's actually or who's enrolled, I think that's what was the other question, was you can come into contacts enrolled. And also you can go into a contact by going to the contacts page or clicking on the contact. You can see, not here, if you go into contacts here, you can see when you pull them up, I believe, what follow-up plans they're currently enrolled in. Okay. All right, the last question here is how to best make use of the map feature in the deal cards. Yeah, this is a cool one. Yeah, on the deal card, as long as there's a property attached, I always say the deal card is like a container. It contains a property or multiple properties. I can click into the property by hitting here. I can look at the property fields like this, or I can just simply toggle right into it while I'm staying on the deal card. And so your map of the property is here. And so let's just say this is a property. I'm going to mark this by setting boundary here. I would do my due diligence here. I would look at the wetlands, the flood zones. I would look at the 3D map to make sure it's not on a hill. I will look for road access on a satellite view. I will do a lot of my basic uh, due diligence on this. I can also mark up squares here if I want to plan subdividing. I want to see how big those parcels are going to be. I can measure things as well. So there's a bunch of tools you can definitely use here to utilize.
I'll also mention I'm always clicking that full screen button if I'm ever gonna do stuff here.
Yeah.
It does get a little tight. So that full screen does give you the option to go
Yeah.
big and see
I've got
everything.
like a really wide screen, so it might show up as really narrow right now for you guys. Okay. So that's a way that you can use the map, and that's probably the best way to use the map. You don't need to save and link back to land ID. You don't need to draw your parcels on land ID. You don't need to measure things to confirm the parcel. You can do that all inside of Pebble now. All right. Next question here. Jody. Jody, are you here? I thought I saw you. No, maybe you're not here. Are you here? Jody, nope. Jody, is there a way to mass categorize a seller upon campaign import? Oh, I see. So I guess what's happening is when you're bringing in a campaign, you are saying that everybody is a seller so that when you create a contact, you don't have to individually go through and create a seller. No, there currently isn't a way to do so. I'm just trying to think if there are sort of any edge scenarios where that might not be the case. You want to do that. But that's something we'll think about. That's something we'll think about.
Yeah, right now it does not set that category.
Yeah.
But yes, we can.
There's sort of like, what happens if I bring in the list of like, okay, let's say I brought in the list in January, then I bring it in back in June, like I've re-pulled that list. That person who was the owner of that property is no longer the seller, but in my contact database, it says they're a seller. So there can sort of be these weird scenarios. So it's not hard when you're creating a deal. You're just gonna, select them as a seller. Can we export all sellers to a spreadsheet easily? Kevin, I'm gonna let you take that one.
Yeah. So if you go to contacts and you can filter under where it says all categories, you can filter by sellers. Yep. In this case, we only have one, but you would probably have more. And then click export, and that will dump them out.
Perfect. Can we tag all contacts within a campaign to assist with lead type reporting? We tag contacts within a campaign with assist with lead type reporting. So I'm just wondering, like, what do you mean by lead type? Is it sort of the marketing channel you're talking about? Which then I would name the campaign to a specific channel, but I'm not exactly sure. And I feel like I think I know what you're asking, but there probably is another way of going about it, but I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. So Jody, if you're watching this later, feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube video of this, the replay, and we'll answer that. Will Pebble be able to send mass emails or texts from within the CRM? New listings, seller follow-ups. So this gets into a very gray area.
Yes, anyone who's done mass texting knows that is there's lots of legal challenges with doing that. There are providers out there that support mass texting, but they draw they're stepping on a line of legality that's very very gray. And if you recall, like a year and a half ago, one of the big ones got completely shut down for like a couple of months. The carriers just shut them down. We obviously don't want to be in a position where we get shut down, so we probably won't be doing mass texting in the near future. but it is something we're looking at. If there's a clear legal way for us to do that, we definitely will explore it. But for now, we sort of leave that up to those external providers.
You know, typically, if you are working with a third-party service, it's more of an agency style. So when we talk about launch control or smarter contact, they're doing things proactively with you guys. And if you're looking at other services, well, so and so does this, well, they're crossing a legal line at that point. So just a heads up. In terms of email, this is a very also guarded area. If you don't have opt-ins or double opt-ins in certain places, there's no way you can do a cold outreach by email legally. And very likely, if you are caught doing that, I've heard of actual lawsuits going out for this. Now, I don't know exactly where everything is in the landscape of things, but other than no, this is cold outreach by email is a big no-no. So I don't think we'll be seeing that.
But cold outreach by mail is certainly legal. So
Yeah, I was just talking about, yeah, email only. Shell says, what's considered mass? I think when we talk about mass is like you've got a list of people you polled and maybe you
unsolicited.
Yeah, exactly. Like a cold outreach, basically.
So all the follow-up emails we do and all is fine.
Yes.
Follow
So
up, yes.
if a person has contacted you, if they've reached out to you or they've in any way interacted with you, then that that becomes a solicited email or contact, and then that's okay. But you just want to make sure that these are people who have talked to you and that you now have an open line of communication with them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Great. Well, thanks for the submitted questions there. And you guys can also always pre-submit these questions. We have a question here from Leslie. Can we add other categories for contacts? For example, title companies, attorney contacts, or change any other ones there that we do not use?
Currently, we have just that one list of categories. If you have another option that you would like to see there, please email that to us at hello@pebblerei.com, and we can potentially add to that list. But currently, it's just that list of categories.
Yeah. Okay, Khalil, I see your question here. Can you go over the new Zapier I think maybe Zapier integration feature? This is not new, it's more of an update. I just ended up talking about this a couple hours ago. And so what we can't go in and do every single thing here. And like when you open up one new Zap, it's like a million more things you can do. So I certainly wouldn't be able to go through and build or in detail, but we'll go through the list here of a couple things we've added here, Khalil. So if you didn't know, you can tie into Zapier. Zapier acts as sort of a middle piece of software to communicate between two software or more. So you can make something happen. For example, a Google form gets submitted. When you hit that submit button, it creates a deal inside of Pebble with the property record or whatever. You can do that through Zapier. Okay. Zapier has a free plan. I always say don't start building automations unless you know what you precisely need, because it can be a huge time sink and not much of a gain. Okay. So there are a few things that we've added here. Number one here is being able to find and update a contact inside of Pebble. So let's say, again, if you submitted something through Google Forms or wherever you can intake information, we can actually look that contact up. And if that contact does not exist, we can create that contact. Okay. Another one here is to find and update a property. So these are all new. You can look up a property and then update it. I guess an example one could be if you're getting information from something like launch control and information there that is like recorded well in maybe their property fields or something that can translate into Zapier, you could potentially update the property within Pebble that exists already in Pebble. And if it doesn't exist, we'll create that property. Am I correct by saying that, Kevin? I think I'm correct by saying that.
Yes, that's
This is so
absolutely correct.
new.
Yeah.
I have not even actually had a chance to play with this yet. Okay, find and update a deal. So you can look up a deal and update that deal card. Where might this be useful? I don't know. Maybe you're communicating on a totally different phone line that you've had, or maybe some sort of phone line that you're really glued to with another system, and you want to push some of that information over. I don't even know if this. I don't know if that's a good example. Well, anyways, I don't see. Here's the thing. It's like, don't do it unless you clearly know what you want to do. I'm trying to pull things out of the air, and I can't even come up with the ideas of what to do. But this has been requested, so you can find and update a deal. You can create one if there is none. Okay. You can send contact information to a third-party platform now. So this is, I believe, coming out of Pebble.
Mhm.
And then this one, Kevin, can you explain this one? Query for existing property. Maybe it's not.
Yeah, so this is dovetails onto the updating a property. If you just want to find a property from Zapier for whatever reason, you want to look up a property by its APN, maybe get a custom field value from that property and send
Oh,
it somewhere else, like bring it
oh,
into a spreadsheet or something. You can do that.
got you.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of ways to do that. The big thing that we've added here with this recent change is the triggers. The new triggers are really great if you want to send your Pebble data to a third party, like bring it into a Google spreadsheet where you want to do more kind of custom data analytics, or bring it over to some data warehouse that you're tracking things from. You can now do that using the new triggers. So some of those triggers are when a contact is created, when a property is marked as purchased or marked as sold,
Right.
when a document is created. These are all really important things to be able to send that information out to a third party. And those triggers didn't exist as of a couple of weeks ago.
So I hope that gives you a little bit of an insight, Khalil. I don't know if there's something that you're looking for specifically. So, all right.
Yeah, Khalil, did you have a specific use case that you are trying to do here at Zapier?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Specifically, webhooks that would allow me to using Zapier to kind of count net leads, gross leads, like when you move stuff in and out of a stage,
Mhm.
one stage to another, it would trigger something, send a note to a Google form when I could then track it, and in the week I could have a net lead kind of thing.
Yeah. Yes, so you can do that. The best way to do that is the trigger. It's called deal moved to stage, I think it is what it is. And so you can set that up to trigger anytime I move a deal from, say, lead into contracted or something, you can have that go to a third party to get a count. Yeah, that would be how you do that.
That's perfect. That's what I was looking for. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Khalil.
Cool.
Oh my gosh. You see what, like, there's so much in Zapier that it intimidates me because I don't even I don't even know what you can do sometimes. And here I am trying to teach some of this stuff in the Dirt Hacker Challenge. And it's like, man, there's so many things that especially with Zapier. So play carefully, but play inside. Like if you're gonna get in Zapier, it's one of those places where you have to experiment. And this is the same for us internally here as we run our business. We do use Zapier, and you do have to spend a lot of time experimenting and figuring out things. So just
It's very time consuming. I
it
started to do it,
absolutely
and
is.
I'm seeking so many hours doing this, and I was getting
This
nowhere.
is
I hired
this is
someone
for
to help us do it.
This is for everybody who uses Zapier worldwide across everything. So you're not alone, Khalil.
Yeah, the important thing to know is like the, the it's never a good idea to start off trying to automate things. You should first see like, okay, I'm spending 6 hours a week doing this task. How could I implement an automation to remove that 6 hours from my schedule? And when you can answer that question, then it becomes valuable. Then maybe spending 12 hours figuring out a Zap pays off in that sense because I'm saving 6 hours a week. So I paid off the time in 2 weeks. But a lot of times what we've seen and what I've been guilty myself is I go into something, say, I just want to try to automate things for automation's sake. And then I waste hours and hours and days of my life and realize that the task I was actually trying to automate only took me 5 minutes in the first place and like wasn't really worth doing the automation. So that's just a word of caution.
All right. Leslie asks here, is there a possibility to get one more inbox added as we have 3 numbers and would like them to come into their each inbox? So at that point, we typically would suggest, you move up to that scale plan. When we're seeing that you need, several mailboxes or inboxes, that's probably a good sign of that. Although shoot us an email, Leslie, maybe there's something we don't understand here, and we'll definitely chat about that. Okay. It's more of a account specific question there, but all right, guys. A couple things to remind you guys about. Let me pull this up. Pebble. Don't forget, we run this every Wednesday. So if you go to live training here, these sessions are here for you. There's a bunch of them that you can join us on. So we do a property import session where we just import stuff together. We manage leads and deals. I show you how do we go from our inbox to our deal board and what that typically looks like. We do our office hours like now. And then if you want, there is a one-on-one onboarding session. This is a paid session, but it is sort of a one-on-one type of thing with myself or Kevin. Also, you have our success guide here and our knowledge base for your resource. There's tons on YouTube as well. Every month, Kevin and I go live on YouTube. We share what we're launching, what we're working on. Yes, we hear some of those features you guys are demanding. I know, Android, right? I just got yelled at like an hour ago. So listen, I use an Android phone and I get it. And we're on it. So
It's coming.
thank you so much, guys, for joining us. If you have any other questions, you know where we're at. Other than that, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.